My sister sent me his baby shower registry, a $12,000 stroller, a luxury crib, and a down payment for a house. I laughed and said, "Absolutely not." He shouted, "Then don't bother showing up." So I didn't. And what happened next had the whole family turning on her. It all started with an email titled, "We're so excited to welcome baby Ethan." My sister's baby shower invitation, complete with pastel fonts, floating teddy bears, and a link to her registry. First I smiled. She'd always been a little dramatic, always loved the spotlight, but baby showers are allowed a little fluff. I clicked the link expecting to see a few overpriced onesies, maybe an organic bottle set, a trendy mobile. Nothing prepared me for what actually loaded. There it was, a $12,000 stroller. Imported from Sweden. Custom embroidery. Real leather handle. Then a $6,800 crib from some boutique in LA that apparently only makes 5 cribs a year. A $400 wipe warmer. A diaper pail that required its own subscription service. And then at the very bottom, a contribution pool for a down payment on a house. The goal? $100,000. And not a joke in sight. I scrolled twice, then laughed so hard I actually had to sit down. I mean, I make good money, but I wasn't about to blow a paycheck so her newborn could nap in something more expensive than my first car. I honestly thought maybe she'd been hacked. Or that her husband, that smug little grifter she married, had gotten control of the registry and turned it into some kind of scam. So I called her. I don't know what I expected. Maybe some laughter and embarrassed, "Oh my God, Barbara, it's just a joke." But instead she said she didn't appreciate me calling with that tone, and reminded me that they were building a life now. That their circle was full of generous people who understood what it meant to invest in family. I told her I'd be bringing a book set and a handmade blanket, like any normal human being. She said if I couldn't support their vision, then I shouldn't bother showing up. Then, and I'll never forget this, her husband grabbed the phone and said exactly this: "If you're not going to be part of the future, then stay in the past." So I stayed. In the past. At home. With a glass of wine and a warm lasagna. And I didn't send a gift. I figured that would be it. But oh no. 3 days later, I woke up to 3 missed calls, 2 angry texts from our cousin Marie, and a novel-length Facebook post from my sister that started with, "Some people just can't handle when others win." The whole post was a martyr's anthem, about fake family jealousy and how they were being punished for dreaming big. I ignored it. For a day. Then Jenny, our other cousin, sent me photos from the shower. My sister had gone full influencer mode. Professional photographer. Balloon arches the size of small buildings. A massive table labeled gift display, that apparently remained almost completely empty except for a few gift cards and a couple small boxes. No crib. No stroller. So where did the photos come from? She posted new ones the next day showing off the entire nursery, every item from the registry beautifully arranged, with a long caption about being surrounded by support. But something was off. The tags were still on everything. It took my brother exactly 5 minutes to figure it out. He reverse image searched the stroller and found it on a luxury baby rental site. You could rent these things for $300 a day. Photo shoots, influencer deals, baby showers. My sister had rented it all, taken the pictures and returned it the next morning. So now it wasn't just greed. It was delusion. Performance. A fantasy she wanted everyone to help her act out. That's when I stopped laughing. Because I knew something she didn't think I knew. And I was done playing along. The truth was I'd kept my mouth shut for too long. My sister's been like this for years. Reckless, entitled, obsessed with appearances. Most people in the family just saw her as a little over the top, a little too into labels, luxury, all that. But I knew better. I knew what she really was. Back in 2020, when she moved back in with mom and dad for a few weeks, she stayed for 6 months. She didn't pay rent, didn't lift a finger. She claimed she was job hunting, but I saw her in the middle of the day on her laptop, yelling at some online dealer for rigging a hand. She was gambling. Constantly. Poker, blackjack, sports bets, all of it. She burned through her savings in 3 months. Then she sold her laptop. Her jewelry. One night I came home and she was crying in the kitchen. Said she was in debt. Begged me not to tell mom. I didn't. I covered for her. Even lent her $1,200. That money vanished in 3 days. She told me she was going to pay me back after she hit a streak. But I let it go. I thought maybe she was just lost. But then she started stealing. She transferred money from mom's account. Bought something off an app, then returned it for cash. Claimed it was an accident. Mom believed her. Said she was under stress. Told me not to make things worse. So I didn't. And here we were 4 years later with her pregnant, married, and acting like a Kardashian in the suburbs, demanding tens of thousands from our family for a child that wasn't even born yet. When she posted that fake nursery photo thanking everyone for making her dreams come true, I snapped. I didn't blast her publicly. I'm not like her. But I called Aunt Deb. I asked her if she really planned to contribute to the down payment fund. She laughed and said no, but admitted she thought the whole thing was a bit much. That's when I told her everything. The gambling, the fake gifts, the rentals for Instagram. I told her she wasn't helping a struggling new mom. She was funding an illusion. At first Aunt Deb was stunned. Then she got angry. Because she'd already sent them $2,000. It spread fast. Deb told her husband. He told their kids. Within 48 hours, 6 people had called me asking for the full story. I didn't hold back. I was tired of protecting someone who only ever used people. And then came the fallout. My cousin Jenny backed out of the sip and see. My uncle Rob, who had offered to help with the nursery renovation, pulled the plug and ghosted her. A few family friends who had RSVP'd suddenly had other plans. But the worst blow was from her husband's side. Her mother-in-law called my mom. She was polite but direct. Said they'd been getting weird vibes from my sister for months. Money going missing. Strange charges. Emotional outbursts. They didn't know what was going on until they heard what I told Aunt Deb. That's when they confronted my sister. And apparently she cracked. Admitted to borrowing from their account. Lied about some of it, blamed the stress, tried to turn it into a pity story. But it didn't work. 2 days later, her husband left. Not permanently at first. He told her he needed space. Said he was going to stay at his parents' place until the baby came. She was humiliated. But instead of apologizing or doing anything remotely normal, she doubled down. She showed up at my house. Middle of the day. No warning. I opened the door and she was already mid-rant. Told me I'd ruined her life, that I was jealous of her family, that everything was fine until I started spreading lies. I stood there and let her talk. Then I told her she was lucky I didn't tell everyone the rest. Because there was more. So much more. She stole money from mom again last year. $5,000. Claimed she needed it for prenatal vitamins and furniture. Spent it in a weekend at a casino in Atlantic City. Mom covered for her. But now people were done covering. 2 days after she screamed at me, mom finally cracked too. She called her and told her she wasn't giving her another cent. Then she made a group chat with the family and sent a single message. No more money. If you choose to help her, do it knowing the truth. It was over after that. My sister posted one last thing on Facebook. A vague quote about betrayal and snakes in the grass. She deleted it 6 hours later. Probably because nobody commented. But that was just the beginning of her unraveling. Part 3 is when things get worse. Much worse. Let me know when you're ready. After mom's group text, the one where she told everyone flat out, if you choose to help her, do it knowing the truth. The silence wasn't just noticeable. It was cold. No arguments. No dramatic replies. Just quiet. The kind that settles in right before everything breaks apart. It started small. Her college friend Alyssa untagged herself from all the baby shower photos. Her coworker from the yoga studio, the one she was always bragging about being like a sister, removed her from her close friends list on Instagram. And the babysitter she'd hired months in advance to help after the birth? Suddenly unavailable due to family emergency. But the biggest crack came from her in-laws. Her husband's parents. Up until that point they'd been supportive. Smiling through everything. Even when she made that ridiculous registry they said nothing. But once they heard about the gambling, the stolen money, the fake photo shoot, they cut contact. Entirely. Her husband started spending more time away. He told her it was to keep things calm for the baby. But I knew the truth. He was building his exit. Brick by brick. I could see it in his silence. He wasn't coming back. That's when she panicked. The money she got from the registry? Gone. She'd burned through it in weeks. Most of the items she posted were returns, rentals, or borrowed. The luxury crib was back in the warehouse. The stroller had been a one-day rental for $290. Even the designer diaper bag was listed online for resale. Tax still on. Then Aunt Deb emailed her. She asked for her $2,000 back. No drama. Just a short, sharp message. Considering the circumstances, I'd like my contribution returned. Hope the baby is well. No reply. The next day cousin Jenny did the same. And Uncle Rob. And Lisa from her husband's side. A woman who had never even liked our family, but had apparently sent her $500, just to be nice. Nobody got an answer. He ignored them all. Probably hoping if she stayed quiet long enough they'd forget. Instead they got louder. People started talking openly now. Nobody was hiding it. Uncle Rob told Mom he'd offered to help them redo the nursery, but after hearing she'd blown their joint savings on a sure-win parlay bet, he pulled the money and told her husband directly, You need to get out before she takes everything. Then her husband texted me. I had never had a real conversation with him before. But now he wanted answers. Asked me if she had a problem. I didn't lie. I told him she was in deep. I told him about the online gambling, the hidden debts, the money from mom's retirement account. About how she cried to me, begged, lied, and then did it again. And again. He went quiet for a few days. Then he left her. Took his things and moved in with his parents. Told her he needed space. What he really meant was legal distance. He'd already started the paperwork to separate their finances. A friend of his worked in family law. He wasn't playing around. That was when she showed up at my house again. Alone this time. No ring. No car. She'd taken an Uber. Said she needed help. Said she was scared. She didn't cry. She looked exhausted. Not fake influencer exhausted. Real, raw, scared of the mirror, tired. I asked her how much debt she was in. She didn't answer. Just stared at me like I was supposed to fix it. I told her no. That's when the final blow landed. Our uncle, the one who co-signed a $20,000 private student loan for her years ago, got a call. She hadn't made a payment in months. She told him it was on autopay. It wasn't. He was now legally responsible for the full balance. He tried to call her. No answer. Then he called me. He said he was done. No more favors. No more support. She's not just reckless, she's dangerous, he told me. 2 weeks later, the baby was born. A boy. Healthy. Perfect. I wasn't there. None of us were. She posted a single photo on Instagram. No filters. No props. Just a dimly lit hospital room and a newborn wrapped in a generic blue blanket. No tags. No captions. Just his name and the date. And for the first time in years, she didn't ask for anything. No gifts. No fund. No second chance. But it wouldn't last. I thought after the baby was born and her husband left, she'd finally disappear. Maybe go quiet for a year, lick her wounds, come back changed. But people like her don't go quietly. They don't feel shame the way normal people do. They just wait. Watch. Plot the next move. Exactly 22 days after the birth, I saw her name pop up on Jenny's phone. Jenny and I were at a coffee shop. She turned her screen toward me like it was burning a hole through the table. The message said, "I'm in a better place now. I'd love to reconnect and rebuild what really matters." No apology. No acknowledgement. Just straight into a clean slate. Jenny didn't answer. She blocked her instead. Then came Aunt Deb's email. A copy-pasted template saying my sister was actively pursuing a repayment plan and would appreciate grace during this difficult but transformative period. I knew that language. It came straight from a bankruptcy self-help blog. Aunt Deb forwarded me the message with a single sentence. She still thinks we're stupid. Then the sympathy campaign began. A photo on Instagram. The baby asleep on a bare mattress, no crib sheets, no blanket, just an empty room and bad lighting. Caption, alone. Comments turned off. It worked for a few people. One of our old neighbors messaged me asking if she could send clothes. Another offered to drop off diapers. I didn't tell them no. But I told them the truth, that she had thrown out most of what people gave her. That she sold a brand new bottle set and used the cash for slots. People started hesitating. That's when I did something I hadn't planned on doing. I put it all together. Everything. A timeline. Copies of texts, receipts, the photo of the fake nursery, screenshots of her GoFundMe before she deleted it. A spreadsheet of debts I knew about. A list of people she borrowed money from and never paid back. I didn't send it to the family. I sent it to one person, her husband's mother. She didn't reply. But 5 days later, my sister was served with papers. Temporary custody shifted. The baby was now staying with her husband 3 days a week, moving toward a formal custody agreement. My sister's reaction? She went quiet online. No more stories. No more vague quotes about snakes and betrayal. It was like watching a switch flip. But just when I thought it was over, she pulled something I never saw coming. She applied for a job. At my office. My boss called me in, confused, holding her resume. I didn't even need to look at it. I already knew she'd lied. Claimed she worked as an executive coordinator at a luxury event firm in the city. Said she managed budgets, team leads, even celebrity accounts. That firm? Owned by a friend of mine. She never worked there. She once babysat their dog. My boss raised an eyebrow and asked if it was a joke. I handed him a printout of her baby registry, her Instagram post with the fake nursery, and a screenshot of her GoFundMe campaign from a month earlier. He nodded slowly, put the resume in the shredder and said, "That's a new one." I didn't hear from her again for a while after that. Until the message came through. Unknown number. Just one line. "You've ruined everything for me." I blocked it. No hesitation. But a few days later, Mom called. Said my sister had shown up at church alone. Sat in the back. No baby. Didn't speak to anyone. Left halfway through. No scene. No performance. Just a shadow of who she used to be. I didn't know what to think. Maybe it was real this time. Maybe rock bottom had finally landed. Then I got a message from an old coworker. He sent me a link to a new GoFundMe. Titled, Help a New Mom Rebuild Her Life. Goal, $50,000. I didn't even open it right away. But when I did, I felt my stomach turn. She used a photo of me holding her baby. From the day I visited the hospital months ago. Cropped tight to hide the hospital ID tags. Made it look like we were best friends, partners in this comeback story. Her pitch was full of lies. Said she was raising her son alone, with no help from her toxic, estranged family. Said she'd left an abusive relationship. Claimed she was in therapy, working 2 jobs, trying to build something honest. And people were donating. Hundreds. That was it. This wasn't desperation anymore. It was fraud. Seeing my face on her GoFundMe page felt like being slapped in a room full of people who didn't know what really happened. There I was, holding her newborn, cropped in tight to make it seem like we were close, like I was standing by her side in her healing journey. And there she was, spinning lies to strangers for money. She said she'd been abandoned by her abusive family. That she was raising the baby alone. That she just lost her job, not true. Her apartment, also not true. And her entire support system, true, but earned. She wrote, My sister has refused to even meet my baby. I'm doing everything alone. Except the photo was from the hospital. I had met the baby. I held him before her husband did. But she cropped out the timestamp, edited out the truth, and made me her prop. It wasn't just desperation anymore. This was theft. I didn't yell. I didn't call her. I built a file. Screenshots of every lie she told. The GoFundMe text. The baby registry. Her fake resume. The fake job she claimed to have. The real job she tried to get at my office. The temporary custody agreement. The text messages to family begging for money. The ones she ignored. The ones where she promised to pay it all back and never did. Then I sent it to GoFundMe. Everything. They shut the campaign down in less than 2 days. The money, almost $3,000, was refunded. The page disappeared like it never existed. But the fallout wasn't just digital. A few of the donors were people she knew. A woman from her old yoga studio. A teacher she'd had in high school. One of her husband's old co-workers. They reached out. Some to me. Some to her. One of them, the yoga teacher, posted on Facebook, I donated to a GoFundMe for a woman I used to know. Turns out none of it was real. She used her own family as props. This is why trust is so hard these days. That post got shared. Commented on. Quietly, subtly, her last circle started to collapse. That's when she came crawling back. She showed up at Mom's house late at night. No makeup. No designer bag. Just the baby in a carrier and a grocery bag with diapers and half a box of formula. Mom told me she looked smaller somehow. Like whatever fight was in her had started to fade. She asked to come in. Said she had nowhere to go. Said she wasn't looking for help, just rest. Mom let her inside. Let her sit. Let her talk. She told her everything. That she knew I'd shut the fundraiser down, that she'd been cut off by her in-laws, that her husband had started pushing for full custody. She said she was scared of losing the baby. That she was finally ready to change. Then she made one mistake. She asked Mom to talk to me. Not to apologize. Not to explain. To convince me to back off, to stop ruining things for her. And that's when Mom told her the truth. She said, Barbara didn't ruin your life. You did that. She just stopped covering your tracks. I wasn't even there, but I could picture it perfectly. That stunned silence she always slipped into when someone told her the truth without flinching. That moment she realized she couldn't argue her way out of it. The next day she sent a message to the family group chat. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm trying to fix them. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want to do better. If anyone wants to see the baby, I'd be grateful. If not, I understand. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't self-pitying. Actually sounded like her. Most people didn't reply. A few did. Short messages. Jenny said she'd stop by with some baby clothes. Uncle Rob said he'd pray for her. Aunt Deb sent a thumbs up emoji, which for her is basically a treaty. I stayed silent. Then came the email. It was long. She wrote about therapy. About the meetings she was going to. About the job she finally got at a local grocery store. She wrote about shame. About not recognizing herself. She said she didn't blame me anymore. That she understood now. That she wanted her son to have a future. Not just because he deserved it, but because he needed to see what accountability looked like. She said she hoped one day I'd come see him. That she'd save a seat at every birthday. That I'd always be welcome if I ever changed my mind. And you know what? It almost worked. But then I remembered what came after every apology. The next scheme. The next lie. The next mess I'd have to clean up. The family she pitted against me. The money she stole from mom. The way she used my face to bait strangers online. So I didn't reply. I waited a week before opening her email again. Read it twice. Sat with it for a while, then deleted it. No reply. No response. I wasn't angry anymore. That had burned out weeks ago. What I felt was something worse. That dull, steady certainty that I was done. But the rest of the family? They weren't there yet. Jenny went to visit her 2 days after the group chat message. She dropped off baby clothes and some groceries. Said the place looked clean. Said the baby was healthy. Said my sister seemed real. Not performative. Just tired. Trying. A few days later, Aunt Deb stopped by with a box of old toys from her basement. Uncle Rob sent a small check, tucked in a card that said, "For the baby, not you." My brother texted her something neutral. Even mom invited her over for Sunday dinner. Just her and the baby. There was no dramatic reunion. No big, welcome back. Just small, careful, reluctant steps. Like people circling a wild animal that might still bite. She didn't ask for money again. Didn't post anything online. The GoFundMe was dead. The Instagram went private. She got a real part-time job stocking shelves at a grocery store. Started taking the bus. Stopped pretending she was someone she wasn't. She texted me once more. Just one line. "Thank you for not giving up on me completely." I never responded. I didn't hate her. But I didn't trust her. And I didn't feel guilty about that. The holidays came. There was a quiet plan to get everyone together for Christmas Eve. Jenny organized it. A small dinner. No drama. No speeches. I wasn't going to go, but mom called me the night before and asked if I'd consider showing up. Just for the baby. I said I'd think about it. That morning I got up, made coffee and transferred $1,000 to my mom's account with a note. "For the baby's first Christmas. Use it how you want." Then I stayed home. I heard later that the dinner was quiet. No tension. Just awkward smiles and safe conversations. He brought the baby. He wore a red sweater someone had donated. Apparently he smiled the whole time. They all said she was calm. Different. Not cured. Not fixed. But trying. They wanted me to know. Jenny called and said, "I think she's really working on herself." Maybe she was. But I still didn't go. Because even if she changed, I wasn't going back. I'd spent years cleaning up behind her, lying for her, covering for her. I watched her burn people down and smile while doing it. That kind of damage leaves marks. Even if she rebuilt her life perfectly, mine had scars from hers. She still sends updates sometimes. Photos of the baby. Quick notes. She stopped asking me for things, which is the only reason I don't block her entirely. I don't wish her harm. I just don't want her near my peace. And maybe that's the real ending. The family gave her one last chance. I didn't. And I don't think I ever will.